Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and today we're talking about the farmers. That's right. We're talking about the farmers because yesterday was Thanksgiving, and I'm still beating on that drum about how Thanksgiving this year cost 20% plus more than it cost last year. And here's the deal. Stay with me here. We're going to connect the dots, okay? Now, I follow this fella on YouTube. His channel's called Goldshaw Farm. And he's this guy, he was living in Connecticut and DC, he's working a day job, saved up his pennies, really desperately wanted to go buy a farm in Vermont. And now he owns a farm in Vermont up here by me. I'm over in New Hampshire. It's not too far away. And he has ducks and geese and chickens, and he's got it's a poultry and waterfowl farm essentially. That's the kind of operation he's doing. I think he's got like an orchard going, and it's a growing endeavor. But he has to have a day job. Sure, he saved all his money and he bought himself a farm, but he broke it down, and I'll link the video here, that most people who are farmers, but who are not involved in factory farming, are generally going to need to have a day job. And he still does, right? He has a day job. He found a new gig up here in Vermont. His wife has a day job. I think she's a nurse. They're hardworking. And when they're done working their day job, they come home and work their farm for supplemental income. And, that's the dream, I think, for them. They want to build that farm up, and then maybe he won't need to have a day job anymore someday. I think. I'm not sure. But it was interesting in that video. He makes the point how all these people who are kind of involved in this family farming or small farming or boutique farming movement, they'll need day jobs. And we know that food in the grocery store is a lot more expensive today than it was a year ago, right? But what we need to take into account is that all those farmers who can't afford to just be farmers, they need to get paid more because we need them to be farmers. Because specifically, factory farming is not working out too great for us as a species. Oh, sure, it feeds a lot of people, and it makes really cheap food and really cheap meat, and it makes McDonald's possible, right? You get a dollar burger. It's incredible. Who could even imagine that, right? But factory farming contributes to the climate crisis. Factory farming contributes to the toxicity by releasing mass amounts of pesticides. They think it's killing off the honeybees. And it also contributes to the topsoil crisis. I bet you didn't even know we had a topsoil crisis. We do. Look it up. It's terrifying. So listen, you can tell me, Vince, the honeybees aren't dying, there is no climate change, and we don't have a topsoil crisis. Okay. We disagree. I'm not the expert who can change your mind about those things. So we just disagree. I don't value your opinion on this topic, and you don't value mine, and that's okay. So let's set that aside. This video just might not be for you. Now, everybody is still on board with me. You agree we have a climate crisis, you agree we have a soil crisis, a topsoil crisis, and that the honeybees are threatened, and then if the honeybees die, we're all kind of screwed. Then you probably also agree with the premise that factory farming has to change. And in factory farming changing, what you're going to see is we're going to have to move to these smaller family farms, boutique farming, right? To people who are going to graze their cattle in a way where they rotate through pastures, and by eating down the grasses will actually sequester carbon when they regrow, and the plants won't be killed, and the topsoil won't be washed away, and they won't need to use as many artificial fertilizers, which, by the way, are in really high demand this year because China just decided they can't sell any of theirs on the national market. They need it all just to feed their population, right? It's another crisis, right? So all of these things are going on, and the solution appears to be smarter farming on smaller scales. So we need more farmers, and we need those farmers to work more on their farms and to do a better job and be able to invest in their farms better. More, right? We just need more. We need more of them. We need them to do more farming, and we need them to do better. So that's great. going to be amazing if we have a renaissance in farming and people can work their land and make a living wage. I will be so thrilled for them, as I'm thrilled for any employee who makes money. But most of us, me, you, statistically speaking, we're not farmers. More often than not, 99% of the people watching this video, they're not farmers for a living, right? So when farmers get paid more, and when farming becomes more complex because we have to do it in a way that protects the environment so that we as a species don't go extinct, well, that's going to cost a lot of money. And who's going to pay for it? Not going to be the farmers. Most of them are already in debt. And it's not going to be the government because they really only subsidize weird things like corn. Very unclear why they do that. Seems kind of horrifying. It's us. It's you and me. We're going to pay the higher cost for food. We were already paying a higher cost for food because of inflation, and inflation continues to grow, right? But now we're gonna stack on top of that a force multiplier of the way we make food needs to change, and the new way we make food means that food will have to be way more expensive. Way more expensive. That is terrifying. It is. It is. If you have a big family and you could feed them for $500 a month a year ago, well, it's probably like $600 to $700 a month now. And that's going to keep going. Pretty soon, you could be looking at $1,000 a month just to feed your family. That is scary. There are already many hungry Americans, and there are already many Americans who rely upon local, state, or federal government for help eating. And many, many more will be pushed down that road by these changes if we don't start planning. And part of that planning, the part that I'm preaching about today, and yeah, I know, I'm preaching. It's Black Friday. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for the long leash you've given me on this one. You really let me go a little afield here, and I appreciate that you listened, right? But the takeaway here, the final conclusion that actually touches on something I know is you need to ask for a raise. You need to ask for a raise. Every dollar you were earning a year ago is worth less than it used to be. It has less buying power than it used to be. I know I've been making videos about this all year, but it appears, based on some of the data, that most of you haven't listened to me. All 500 of you. People have not been asking for raises, which means the average worker isn't earning the same dollar amount of wage that they earned before, but it buys less. So they're earning less, especially in the context of food, shelter, heat, heating oil, electricity. Everything is becoming more expensive, right? So you need to keep an eye on this inflation. You need to keep an eye on the rising cost of food. You need to keep an eye on the rising cost of heating oil. You need to keep an eye on the fact that a used car today is often worth more than it was worth when it was new and pristine off the dealer's lot. These things are all things that are kind of like canaries in the coal mine that we need to do something about this. And we're not the people in the position who can change the course of the country. But we are the people in the position where we can make choices for us and for our families, right? So that means you need to say to your employer, yeah, listen, I need a raise. You're not keeping up with inflation. You're just not. I need more. I need you to match the rate of inflation. I need it now. And that pension you give me, well, it's not indexed for inflation. So it's not really all that valuable. It's really losing value pretty quickly right now. So we got to talk about that too. Okay? These things have to be on the forefront of your mind. This is important. This is important. Without keeping an eye on this, without getting out ahead of this, your quality of life is going to be reduced. You are going to feel more stress, more pain. It's going to be scary unless you plan. Like and subscribe. Helps me to help more people just like you. Tell me I'm crazy. I'm ready for it. But I've been telling you all year about this inflation. I've been telling you. And what do we have now? Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.